Your hope is that you'll do such a good job setting chairs up at this convention that they'll hire you full time, or they'll like your personality so much they'll hire you, and that's just not how it works.
Maybe one thing we could leave on would be your thoughts on how someone interested in getting into esports, from your experience, how best to kind of navigate or how best to kind of feel
Yeah.
their way through that
So
industry.
we've done a lot of networking events where I've talked about this before.
Hmm.
Our first networking event was heavily focused on how do you enter the space, and the answer is there's so many different ways to enter the space. The question kind of it becomes very personal very quickly. What do you have passion about? What are you interested in? From doctors to cooks to literally everything. There's a space in esports
Yeah.
for people, which is something that one of the LinkedIn esports experts told me. I was wrong about and called me an idiot. That was fun. Basically, he was saying that a DC just hired somebody out of esports to run production for DC Comics,
Mm.
and he was like, "Oh, that person isn't qualified." And the only thing he knew about the person was that person was from esports. And I explained, I was like, "That person could have had any background
Yeah.
before
Oh
esports.
yeah.
They could have done comic
They could have
production
on
before
TV.
esports."
Like they could. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, "We're an industry that says all fields can transfer to esports. So that means you should be able to transfer out to a successful career too."
Yeah.
And that's something he just didn't understand, and he got real insulty real quick. So that was super cool. But basically, blocked him right away. Just so many LinkedIn esports experts. But basically, I mean, what it boils down to is like, what are you interested in the space? Where do you want to enter? If your feeling is I just want to be in esports no matter what, it's going to be hard. It's going to be real hard. If you can find a specific area, like whatever job you're doing now, and figure out how that best transfers into esports, you're going to have a lot more success. But if you wanted to just come into esports, it depends on where you want to be. Are you okay with just being like a low level grunt for some esports company where you're probably going to be treated poorly and you're going to be going to set up convention centers and stuff for like a tournament? You're going to be setting chairs out. There's some people that are perfectly happy with that to get a start in esports. And a lot of people in those positions that go and do that and work for NRG and like go and set up the Chicago Huntsman Stadium and stuff, they volunteer for that stuff. And I don't advocate volunteer work ever.
Hmm.
Like don't go do free work for people in esports, especially when we're talking about all these big companies like NRG Esports. NRG Esports is this big company. They shouldn't be, getting a bunch of kids to do a bunch of work for free. But I understand it because those kids are dying to do it.
Right. They want to
They
do
just
something in
they
esports.
Yeah, they want to be in the industry so bad that they'll do anything. So doing the volunteer work is definitely a way to enter esports. A lot of people will tell you to do it. I never personally advocate anybody to do free work, and I don't accept free work either. I should say I always pay people when I ask them to do something. But there is a lot of volunteer positions available for people. Like I said, if you have a skill set, that skill set can transfer into esports. That's an individual thing. Find a job that covers that skill set. If you don't have a skill set and you're just kind of new trying to get into esports, you gotta figure out either find a skill set or just grind. Just it's a lot of grinding. So LinkedIn is a big thing. If you want to get in with all the owners of all the LinkedIn's great. You can connect with me on LinkedIn anytime. My name's on the screen, so you can just find me on. There aren't many Hans Gosses, so but just start connecting with other people in esports. Just mass connecting, and I'm not talking about Discord.
Hmm.
Like you can't just join all of these organizations' discords and just spam them in Discord. You need to be engaging with the individual people that are running the companies, and you need to bring value to the table. Like a big thing is if I hired this kid, I was talking about him earlier, Mondo. So much energy, and he was one of those people who he wears Chicago Huntsman gear head to toe every day.
Hmm.
I don't know how he has so much Chicago Huntsman stuff, but he loves Hector. He loves Andy Miller. He loves their organization. He loves NRG. He loves Chicago Huntsman so much. And that's how I know that he worked for them for free. He would go out there and
Gotcha.
he'd volunteer and he'd do all this work for them. And he just worked his butt off. And he asked me, he was like, "What can I do to be taken more seriously in this industry?" And the kid has so much energy and so much passion. I said, "Stop going to work for other people. Start working for yourself. Build something for yourself. Build your own brand. If you take that same energy, and I'll tell you what, I think that he specifically will do very well in this industry because he has the energy and the passion. He just needs to channel it a little bit differently. Channel your energy in a productive way. Don't channel it to joining a bunch of discords or going to a bunch of conventions and all this stuff. Channel it to building value. Channel it to building either your brand or value for someone in the industry."
To to basically stand out. Yeah, if you're going to these different events or kind of like volunteering, it's possible, I guess, to get kind of lost in the sea of different people trying to do the same
Well,
things.
your hope is that you'll do such a good job setting chairs up at this convention that they'll hire you full time, or they'll like your personality so much they'll hire you, and that's just not how it works. You need to have value. You need to bring value to them, and to bring value, you got to figure out what is that value, and that value can be so many things. It can be a personality, it can be energy, it can be that you have X amount of followers on Twitter, it can be that you have a podcast going on every week. Whatever it is, just like right here, this is creating value in the space. You're creating something for gamers in the space. Like, so that's all I'm saying is create some sort of value regardless of what it is, and then understand your value and appreciate your value, and don't sell yourself short.
Gotcha. I love it. I think that's great advice for
But
people listening.
the real answer is much more complicated, but like I
Oh,
said, it's very individually based. So if somebody that sees this actually wants advice on how to enter esports very specifically, always feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, or my email is hans@valhallalounge.com, or hans at orioncollective.gg, and then my personal email is hansg4n6@gmail.com. So people always feel free to reach out to me and ask for like personal, like if I knew what somebody's skill set was and I knew the person themselves, I could give much better advice.
gotcha.
At the end of the day, it's just like finding a job in indie industry though.